Hello, and thank you for joining A Shark's Perspective. Are you helping your customers fix their problems? Are you seeing growth in your business because you have a differentiation and you know what that truly is? Are you making certain not to allow complexity to kill your growth? These are questions and problems that we've tackled on almost every episode. But I'm very excited about today's guest because his company has received amazing attention for what they're doing, and they've been backed by someone who even I'm a massive fan of in the business world. Steve McKean is the CEO and co founder of BILLSHARK, a marketing and technology entrepreneur and a subject matter expert at starting and scaling technology companies with go to market strategies. And on this episode, we'll discuss how successful entrepreneurs find gaps that form strategies in order to help a business grow, solving problems for your customers by helping them save money, eliminating complexity, how swimming in the Bahamas can help you name a company, and what it's like to be backed by the incredible Mark Cuban. So let's tune in to a Bill Shark with a one-day Shark Tank shark on this episode of A Shark's Perspective. Steve, thank you so much for joining us today on A Shark's Perspective. So if you would tell us a little bit about your journey to date and your career.
Sure. I started. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My father started and built a large regional CPA firm in Miami, and I think I've been exposed to entrepreneurship probably since I was 5 or 6 years old. And my journey from there was I started my first business at 17, which was a bookkeeping business. And I went to the University of Michigan, got all my undergraduate and graduate business degrees, worked as a CPA for several years for Arthur Andersen, and then started a company called Exceller, which was in the business of customer acquisition for all the large cable, telco, satellite, and wireless providers. And so we built that company up pretty substantially, up to about 300 employees. We were Inc. 500. We were best place to work. And I exited that company in 2014 and started BILLSHARK a few months after with one of my former executives.
Steve, how did you come up with the name BILLSHARK?
Yes, so the original name of the company was Bill Savings Guru.
Oh,
And my kids were telling me that's just a terrible name. That's an awful name. And we never launched anything under that name. And so I went with a couple of buddies to the Bahamas for the weekend, and we went diving to see sharks.
Great place
And
to
so
dive.
what we did is, I forgot where we went in the Bahamas exactly, but we went, we met with some folks from the shark habitat,
Yeah.
charity or whatever it is, and we dove. It was just snorkeling. We held onto a line, and they chummed the waters.
Nice.
Probably had about 8 or 9 nurse and reef sharks come up.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were right there in our grill, and it was absolutely terrifying. Even though they're nurse sharks, it was like, oh my God, those are sharks. And I know of all the guys that I'm with, I'm the slowest and fattest. And so I'm going to be the first one to get eaten. And it was absolutely terrifying and inspiring. And that is where we came up with the name BILLSHARK.
It's just a big catfish is all it is. They got whiskers. So
yeah, not quite what I was thinking, but it was really cool and terrifying. And then I think the secondary part of that story is when we did a management retreat last year. We were down in the Florida Keys, and we took the team out to fish, and we told the captain, we're BILLSHARK, and we need to go catch sharks for everybody today. And would you believe it? We caught 6 sharks.
Wow.
We threw them all back.
Please, yeah.
We didn't want to harm them, but it was unbelievable. And he's like, that's never happened. So I think after that management retreat of going out on a boat and catching 6 sharks, we know we are the sharks.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, so what was the inspiration for starting BILLSHARK? I mean, I know since you were always an entrepreneur, did you see a new problem that you wanted to fix, or was this something driven, by what you saw happening to others? How did that whole start?
I think it's really two things. I think in the prior business, I think the seeds of Bill Shark were really in the prior business of Exceller, with Exceller, Brian, who at that time ran product and call centers for us.
Mm-hmm.
We would probably take in a couple thousand calls a month of people that were expressing, hey, my bills have gone up and I'm unhappy about it. Now, we couldn't have done anything about it because our job was just to sell new cable subscriptions or new satellite subscriptions, but people would still call us and complain about their bill going up. And I'm like, well, as we're getting out of this business, maybe that's a new problem to solve. And let's take a look at that. So in terms of the pain point, that pain point was very evident in our existing business because, we were getting these phone calls. We would market ourselves with a license from Comcast and DirecTV. And so people would call us and think, hey, you're Comcast. It's like, no, we're not Comcast and we can't do anything for you. And then the second inspiration is, I think it's really remarkable to be in a business where every day you're doing something good
Yeah.
for your customers. And there's a lot of businesses out there where maybe your customers aren't as appreciative
A lot.
or,
How about 99%
yeah,
of them? Yeah.
yeah. And so the opportunity to solve a problem for customers and make a difference and to really align passion and performance was also very enticing.
Well, describe the service, if you will, what Bill Shark does and how someone goes about using it.
Sure. So the purpose of Bill Shark is to lower your bills and, more importantly, to reduce the stress that you have from bills. And we do this two ways. We do it through negotiating lower bills, and this is for internet, cable, wireless, home security, satellite. We presently today don't negotiate credit card bills or mortgage, and we don't settle. We're not a debt settlement company.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that on a performance basis, and we do it through BillShark.com, our retail site, and we do it through partners. We have a
Mm-hmm.
number of fintechs that have integrated into our API. And then the second way we help customers is through cancellations. As
Yes.
you know, the subscription economy has exploded over the past couple of years. It's interesting when you look at a study by Zora. Customers spend on their subscriptions about $220 a month, and what they don't realize or what they underestimate is they think they actually spend $120. They literally underestimate how much they spend on subscriptions by about $100 a month. And we've built a service that is a low-touch cancellation service that's only available on a wholesale basis, but that has been received well into the marketplace. And interestingly enough, we are able to get refunds for 20% of our customers when we cancel a subscription for them,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty cool. In fact, the largest refund that we ever got for our customer, like canceling an Audible subscription or something, was like $800.
Wow.
What a great surprise to see $800 show up on your credit card as
No
credit.
kidding.
And so those are the two primary services we do today. We are adding a third service later this year. It's another gap we see in the marketplace. We don't want to talk too much about it, but we certainly see many opportunities to continue to help our customers reduce stress from their bills.
I just think it's amazing. I've worked with a lot of companies that find a gap like this. They're just sprouting up everywhere, finding these gaps, and they're fixing problems that really we've created and manifested. I mean, I'm thinking of ones, like passwords and all these different things. It's amazing that there's a market out there for a company to keep all your passwords. So it's
Yeah,
no surprise whatsoever that there are, too many bills that you not necessarily can't get out of that you owe debt to your point, but just we let things expire. I'm actually curious, have you ever thought of taking this for even, I mean, this is a B2C product primarily, but have you ever thought about taking this for a B2B approach? Most large companies have a procurement team, and some are good and some are, just complete nightmare. But I'll bet you that a majority of execs in the world would love to have a Bill Shark team helping them stop overpaying for something that they're using.
Yeah, so we do SMBs.
Yeah.
We do businesses under 100 employees. That's kind of the break
Yeah,
point.
that's great.
When you get beyond that, you get into an entirely just listen. Let's say if a large franchise came to us like Chick-fil-A and they said, "Hey, help us lower our bills for our franchisees." We could do that. That's not a complicated enterprise because they're single store units.
Mm-hmm.
But if General Electric came to you
Oh, yeah.
that had very sophisticated infrastructure, we're not set up to do that. I mean, there are other companies that specialize on that, but one of the things that's really important is you decide who your customer is and who your customer isn't. And large scale enterprises are not our customers today, but SMBs, yeah, they are.
Yeah. When you look at growing your business, what's sort of been the best method over the last few years? I mean, you've had some solid PR at the highest levels with an NBC Nightly News story, a Today Show mention, several other big press pieces. But outside of just the amazing PR you've gotten, what is some of the other things that have helped propel the growth of the business?
You know, um, well, I think when you take a look at the growth of the business, uh, the first thing you have to have is a purpose,
Yeah.
which we just detailed below, which is to reduce stress from bills. I think the second thing that propels your growth is having a great team. And so some of the leaders that we have, at Bill Shark, Brian and Michael and Michelle and Carolyn and Laura and Kim, I feel we have built a really, really solid leadership team. So it starts with a purpose, then you have a team, and then you build a culture. Okay, you literally have to start there to grow because if you don't have the right people in the right place,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how much marketing you throw at it, you're
Absolutely.
not going to be able. You're
Could
not
not
going to be
agree.
able to execute. So I think that the first thing we've done to propel growth is to put a great team and a great culture in place and to really understand who our customer is and who our customer isn't. The second thing we've done to put ourselves in a position to grow is to build simple and scalable systems. That sounds rather quaint, but what happens is over time, if your technology is too complicated, you will get drowned in complexity. And so I'm a big fan of Chris Zook.
Yeah.
And one of Chris Zook's, and he's become a friend of mine over the years, but one of the things that I learned from him is complexity is what kills growth. And so we have engineered from the beginning a flat organizational structure and simple systems that are scalable. So we, in the first 2 or 3 years, spent a lot of time on those two things. It's almost going slower to go faster in the future. And then what you layer on from there is you know who your customers are, they aren't, and you do a lot of innovation and experimentation, both on your service and with your marketing tactics, which is really the phase that we're in right now.
Well, so what's the biggest challenge then in sustaining that growth, especially when you don't have another big PR push?
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, it's just day in, day out. I mean, it's really twofold. One, we're driving our growth with partnerships. So you essentially have a growth philosophy. So the growth philosophy is as follows: we are going to use consumer marketing and digital marketing to grow our business consistently quarter over quarter, and that's where you're using Facebook and Google and other digital campaigns to do that. And then we are going to use what we're doing with partnerships to grow on a step function basis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it obviously takes longer to bring on those partnerships, but when you do, you get a step function growth, and that's essentially what we're doing. The PR, from our perspective, is gravy. PR is not a strategy to grow. PR is really a strategy to raise awareness,
Yeah.
and we are not dependent on PR to Grow. It's nice when you get it. I mean, the other day we were featured on an apartments.com guide,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't even know about it. And that's great, but it's not a business strategy. To me,
Exactly.
if you're depending on PR to grow your business, that's hope, and hope is not a strategy. Building marketing campaigns, testing landing pages, testing different targeting, different audiences, you know, that's the daily grind.
Yeah. Hope is just a wish without a plan. So.
Right. That's exactly right.
So, like all businesses today, though, a knockoff pops up every 5 minutes. How are you basically positioning yourself? What's the differentiator for Bill Shark,
You know,
other than
I
an
think,
amazing name that's incorporated my favorite animal in the world?
oh, I think when you talk in terms of differentiation, um, I think there is a couple with consumers. I think first, um, we are backed by Mark Cuban. So you're going to know as a consumer, this has been a business that's been vetted. Okay. Like, all right, number one. Number two, we have immense social proof. When we add up all our reviews across all platforms, we're close to
Yes.
3,000 reviews, probably at an average of 4.7.
Yes.
This is, reviews on Consumer Affairs and Bird Eye and iTunes and Google and all of that. And so we're at nearly 3,000 reviews. Obviously, the PR helps. So we have social proof, Mark Cuban backing us, and all these reviews. Number one. Number two, what differentiates us is speed. We're typically getting negotiations done within 2 to 3 business days. I think the third thing that differentiates us, um, quite frankly, is we guarantee our work. And what that means is sometimes you do a negotiation, the provider, won't uh, honor the discount,
Mm-hmm.
and we will fix it. And so I think at the end of the day, the social proof is the biggest barrier. It really is. You can be this new guy, great, but you're not going to replicate 3,000 reviews. You're not going to replicate Mark Cuban, and we have a team that does this day in, day out. And we know we're going to take another leap forward later this year when we roll out. We're rolling out an entirely new user experience later this year, and we think that's going to be another big step forward. Now that we have a lot of data, we've been able to do some ethnographic studies and really understand the pain points. And then I think the last point of differentiation is the innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Our team recently attended a workshop by the Black Swan Group, headed up by Chris Voss. I don't know if you've
Mm-hmm.
heard of him
Mm-hmm.
before, but he's a former FBI hostage negotiator.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
our perspective is, we think we're good at negotiating. Eh, we
Yeah.
could probably learn a lot more.
Right.
And so literally it was a fantastic experience and an investment to attend and learn. And we're like, you know what? We think we can improve our service substantially by incorporating some of his techniques. So there's also a constant amount of innovation on the core service itself, and just a perspective of, hey, we can always do better. So I know I went on for a bit,
No,
but
it's good that it's that important to you as a differentiator. That's the problem with so many businesses. It's they don't know what they are. And to your point about reputation, I can tell you firsthand, having worked for brands that had a massive reputation problem, and it will affect your sales. There is no getting away around it because of the way the marketplace has changed and how we study brands before we use them. So, you
yeah, and I didn't get to go to the Chris Voss event, but I certainly got to review the materials after, and I'm like, wow, what a great framework
yeah.
for negotiating. And yeah, so again, I think it's going to really benefit our customers.
Well, a guy on my bucket list, podcast bucket list, or any list, is Mark Cuban. I've always been a big fan of his way prior to Shark Tank.
Yeah,
You mentioned him. How in the world did you get connected with him? And honestly, I mean, just what has that experience been like?
so we were introduced to Mark Cuban by mutual friends, and Mark Cuban does have some fintech
Yeah.
investments out there. I think Dave.com being a pretty prominent one right now, and he liked what we were doing, and um, he decided to become engaged and participate in the business.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, have you seen the marketplace shift? And I'm just interested in this from how different age groups are approaching this. I mentioned LastPass earlier, which was marketed heavily to millennials, but you've got people young and old who let their bills pass. Has this been more of a problem for, have you seen more of it from Gen X or Gen Y, the millennial group, or is it baby boomers? What's sort of been the sweet spot, if you will, of age for this?
So let me ask you a question. What do you think it is?
I think the affinity for it would probably be millennials because of having worked with companies and looked at this space like a LastPass. Again, is all I can equate it to. But I'm going to bet it's probably more for baby boomers.
Nope, millennials.
Interesting.
Uh, yeah, it is. I would actually argue that baby boomers are actually not very good customers for us. They would be, and I think we probably have to do a better job of figuring out how to engage them. Like
Yeah.
for instance, in our business, you cannot call up a 1-800 number and enroll with BILLSHARK. We made a decision early on; it's digital only. Do it through the app, do it through a website, but we are not taking a phone call to take an enrollment over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And that may have, you
Ah,
know,
yeah.
carved off the baby boomer part. But we are, very heavy millennial. Um, I'd probably say second half millennial, first half Gen X. So the younger Gen X and the older millennials is really where the sweet spot is. And, again, some of our product decisions may have cut off that baby boomer market
Yeah.
because we decided we didn't want to run an inbound call center doing enrollments.
I got you, and that makes sense. I guess I was thinking of the people that probably need the help the most, are the baby boomers with a lot of them, especially with fixed incomes
Yep.
as they get older. But no, it doesn't surprise me at all that millennials are more prudent with their money, especially taking advantage of technology like this. So then, how are you looking at the business moving forward, and where you see this growing and expanding, and the challenges that you think you're going to face?
Yeah. So when we take a look moving forward, as you can see with particularly with Facebook, there are and the new California privacy law that's going into effect,
Yeah,
and what
CCPA.
happened? What happened over in Europe? We think we're trying to position ourselves to make sure that customers know we are handling their data with the utmost care. And so, to that end, we recently, in the last 2 months, became SOC 2 Type 2 compliant,
Yeah.
um, which we feel is a good accomplishment uh, this early on as a company. And the intentionality is to show our customers, our partners, that we have the necessary procedures in place to handle their data.
So, Steve, you're on a shark's perspective with a guy named Shark. When you've named your company Bill Shark, this must be an easy one for you to answer. There
Yep.
are a lot of beautiful sharks off the Atlantic coast from Boston to Miami, where you are. What is your favorite kind of shark and why?
Uh, my favorite shark. Oh God, what is my favorite shark? I mean, on the website, I say it's a megalodon, but I think a really cool shark to look at is a hammerhead. I mean,
Absolutely.
evolutionary speaking, it's just a really cool shark to look at. So, hammerhead.
And it's the sharks you see on Shark Tank. So those are the ones
Yeah,
swimming around for the most part on the graphic that has Shark Tank on it. So, Steve, it's that special time of the show. Are you ready for the five most interesting, important questions that you're going to be asked today?
absolutely.
All right, here we go. Number one, Shark Tank question, not involving Mark Cuban. Barbara Corcoran or Kevin O'Leary?
Oh, Kevin O'Leary.
Number two, the Mako shark or the tiger shark?
Tiger.
Number three, a telephone bill or a cable bill?
Cable.
Number four, the New England Patriots or the Miami Dolphins?
Oh, Miami Dolphins. I'm absolutely tortured by that because the Patriots have literally crushed a generation of football fans in Miami. And Tom Brady's a Michigan Wolverine, and I want to root for him.
I think
I'm
he's
so
like
conflicted.
65 now, too.
Oh, my God. I'm so conflicted by that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, number 5, and the most important question that you're going to be asked today, this one may add to that confliction, is biscuits or cornbread?
Ooh. I would have to go with cornbread, though a popover made with corn would beat both of them.
Interesting. All right. Well, Steve, where can people find out more about you, follow your company and your thought leadership, and more?
Yeah, I mean, if they want to follow the company, probably the best place to follow us is our Twitter feed. It's at Real BILLSHARK on Twitter, and obviously we're that's the best place to follow us in terms of what's happening with BILLSHARK and me and blogs and all the rest of it. That's probably the best place to go.
Awesome. Steve, thank you so much for being with us today on A Shark's Perspective.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
So there was my conversation with Steve McKean, the CEO and co-founder of BILLSHARK, a marketing and technology entrepreneur and a subject matter expert at starting and scaling technology companies with go-to-market strategies. Let's take a look at 3 key takeaways from my conversation with him. First, if you want to be an entrepreneur but need the idea, then it's a somewhat simple formula for most of the successful ones. Find a problem people have and solve it. So much of what I talk about in marketing is that customers are coming to us as business leaders to help them solve a problem. Unfortunately, you find so often where people simply think that serving brand babble is okay. And as Steve said for him, and I quote, "It's really remarkable to be in a business where every day you know you're doing something good for your customers." Yeah, there are a lot of businesses who forget that. And he went on to say that the opportunity to solve a problem for customers and make a difference and to really align passion and performance was also very enticing. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Second, some great advice for all entrepreneurs and business leaders. Build simple and scalable systems. Steve went on to add that if your technology is too complicated, you'll get drowned in complexity. And I could not agree more. How many examples can you think of with companies who build out systems that don't talk to each other and that in turn alienates you as a brand from your customer because you don't function well? There are just too many examples. We've created such amazing tech today, but the further away you get from your brand's core and your customer with disparate systems, then that complexity simply kills growth because you as a leader are spending more time on managing it. The people who work for your company with these siloed approaches don't talk succinctly to each other, and then all of that fails to serve your customer. So build simple and scalable systems that help you solve your customers' problems in order to grow, not ones that require you to constantly untangle the complexity that your business has created. He cited the acclaimed author Chris Sook, who said that complexity kills growth, and I could not agree more. But I'll simply go with KISS, so keep it simple, stupid. Third, know your differentiation for your brand, whether it's being backed by someone like Mark Cuban, which is a hell of a differentiation, or it's online reviews, social proving, speed, innovation, whatever it is, keep working on it, perfect it, keep continuing to offer something different to your customers. Listen to them and then use your innovation to move forward for the future as well as stay ahead of the competition. Got a question? Send me an email to kenneth@asharksperspective.com. It's been my privilege, so I'm going to go do what I often do, watch another episode of Shark Tank, and then I'm coming back to join you on another episode of A Shark's Perspective.